Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, we're rolling. It's Friday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. Just a couple of dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. This is episode 95. And so for tonight, we're going to start things off with Name That Stadium, like we always do. After that, we'll hit the news from this past week, which, James, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it looked pretty light since the highlight was the draft. And then after that, we'll spend the bulk of the time talking about the NFL draft. And we're going to grade the picks from rounds 1 through 3. And to close things off, we're going to do our question of the week. So, James, with all that being said, how's it going tonight, man?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
It's going good, dude. Going good. Man, I love the draft, and this was a super exciting draft. And I mean, honestly, this has just been like one of the kind of like wildest off seasons we've had in a long time. And so it's the draft just kind of followed suit, which was pretty cool, man. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, the draft was crazy, and it felt like I was way in the know before you. It was like my feed was like 3 minutes ahead of yours.
Yeah, that was strange, but I don't know. I mean, hey, you got your California time, you get like exclusive rights to see it before everybody else, maybe. I don't know.
No, no, it was more like Twitter and like stuff was like I was seeing stuff or just like a comment that was made on it like they said, oh, this, and then I look and it's like, oh shit, like I think
Okay.
like one of them was like the Lions trading up to what did they trade up to 14 or 13?
Yeah, 12 or 13, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere in there, and it's like before eight, I like
12. Yeah, sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
it's 12. I like texted you about it, and you're like what? I didn't see that. Like I texted you about it like two picks prior to like they announced it on TV. I was like, why is that so slow?
Yeah. No, it was weird. And I've had it happen before where I've got Xfinity and I'll have somebody else on, whatever, and they'll be like 5 seconds ahead of me. And so like if we're watching a game at the same time, they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, it's like,
Hmm.
but there's never been that big of a gap like there was for the draft. That was, like you said, I mean, it was like minutes ahead where you're like telling me stuff, and there was like nothing at all on my end. It was like, what? Like I'm just totally in the dark.
Yeah, it was weird though. Like I think I counted it like on draft day there were 9 trades in the first round.
Yeah, and they were all after the 10th pick, man. It was like the first 10 picks just went doot 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 doot, and then it just went nuts.
Yeah, and it's crazy fucking trades too. Like I couldn't believe some of them.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I mean we'll talk as we go through them tonight. I'm not up to date on tracking the trades as well because there was so much there, but it is important to kind of look at what was given up and who was gotten and all those things. And for example, like the Cardinals making that move for Hollywood Brown, it's like, okay, so now you didn't have that pick, but you got the receiver, and so it's like, are you going to say he was your pick then? And how do you grade that? And we'll talk about that as we go, but we just got to like fill in the picture as much as we can, basically.
Yeah, so glancing at it, total overall picks traded this year, including picks that were retraded.
Hmm.
It's let me see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25,
Keep going. Keep going.
nope, 20, 25, 26, 27 total draft picks traded in the
Yeah.
first round this year.
Yeah, I went through the NFL.com trade tracker, and I mean, the page is like a mile long, man.
Hmm.
It's hard to follow.
that's 18 total draft picks traded, but total number of trades was 27.
Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah. All right, well, let's move it over to Name That Stadium. Show must go on. Let's keep it rolling. So, for anybody who's watching, this is the part of the show where, as you can see, James is out there traveling the country. He's got a different stadium in his background every week. And so we're just asking, if you think you know what stadium that is, hit us up in our comments section. The first person to get the right answer will get a shout out in next week's show. It's just a little bit of fun that we like to have on the show here, just a way to engage with the viewers. And so, looking back at last week, James, where were you at, man?
Last week I was at Ford Field. Um, Basically, I thought the Lions were in prime position to win this draft, and like overall total through the 7 rounds win the draft. And I think they did pretty well. A couple picks are complete head scratchers, and so I have them as a top 10 draft, but not my favorite draft of
Okay.
the year.
Well, and save your favorite, because I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. That is going to be part of question of the week. So that just made good logical sense for today.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. Hey, Detroit, that's cool. I was excited about, they had the 2 first-round picks, and then, they, I mean, not that you would have known this going into last week, but they made the trade, and there was some good action. But yeah, I hear you. Some of the picks, yeah, you could question and you could point to, and I mean, you could do that with everybody, and that's what we're going to be doing tonight. So yeah, we'll get to hear about it as we get to it. So all
Yeah.
right, well,
I had heard a lot of rumblings, and it tied into the question. It was almost exactly it was very similar to the question of the week. Was it last week where you had about trading 32 and 34
yeah, to
to
get
move
back in
up
the
to the
top
top?
15. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's and then after that I started hearing more rumblings about Detroit looking at something like that.
All right. And so, James, what did I tell you? If they were going to do it, I wanted it to be for Jameson Williams, but we already had him gone in our mock draft. And
Hmm.
so I was like, if he's gone, I wouldn't do it. But if he's there, that's the one thing I would go for.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes sense. It made sense to me. I mean, I liked the trade. I like Jameson Williams. Yeah, he might miss. Actually, the initial reports were he was gonna. We'll go into this. We're getting ahead of ourselves here.
All right. All right. All right. Yeah, we'll put that on pause. So, yeah, let's do our recap of the past week. And so, James, I'll skim through just a handful of the things that I saw. Not like a thick week with news outside of the draft, but I did see Tyrann Mathieu sign with the New Orleans Saints. People are excited about that. Him having come from LSU, and hometown kid, kind of hometown kid, I guess, whatever. But I saw a couple signings by the Chargers, linebacker Kyle Van Noy and cornerback Bryce Callahan. I liked both those moves for the Chargers defense. I think that was solid, kind of under the radar, guys that should be contributors. They may not be flashy studs, peak of their career, but they're definitely guys that can add some value. And then I saw this hasn't been done yet, but the expectation is that cornerback James Bradbury is going to be cut by the Giants, potentially, they said, by the end of the week. So that could be coming any time now. And it's basically a cap casualty situation. They're kind of tight with salary cap space, and they're just not seeing the value for what he's getting paid versus what he's putting on the field. And so, these moves happen. And I'm sure somebody else will go and get him, and that's fine. That's part of the game. But the last thing I had was Dan Vantrell, former president of the Raiders. He's no longer with them. I don't have all the details behind it, but the guy was with the organization for 18 years, promoted to president about 10 months ago, and he is no longer in that position. I don't really know a whole heck of a lot about the guy, so I can't really talk about it too much. Um, 18 years with a team, and then it just seems like your last gig only being 10 months. It's something obviously didn't go right, or otherwise, you would think with that kind of loyalty, he would have been there as president a little bit longer than this. But I don't have the details, so I don't want to comment too much on that. And that's really all I got, James. What do you see in news-wise that you want to hit before we get to our draft grades?
That was about all I saw. Who was it? Antonio Brown ripped Colin Kaepernick, like just
Oh
like
yeah,
yeah, he, like just completely ripped him, and it was weird, but it made sense what he was saying. It was like a long rant about him, and basically saying that Kaepernick did what he did to get a payday, and that's it.
okay.
And it was like, wow.
Just calling him out.
Yeah, because I don't know.
Well,
I
this
can't
must
comment
be
on that stuff.
this must be coming on the heels of Kaepernick making that comment about he'd come back and take a backup role just to prove himself. And it's like, come on, man, you can't be out of the league this long and expect to come back as a starter. So yeah, you had to say something like that, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, no, like it was basically what Brown was saying was Kaepernick doesn't want to play football, and don't let him fool you with that.
He's just wanting the attention, staying in the
Yeah,
spotlight, getting his
exactly.
different gigs from that. I gotcha.
Yeah, and he stays in the spot, tries to stay in the spotlight, and something along the lines with, but you never see him outside. Like you never see him actually doing anything. He just talks a lot about it.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big Kaepernick fan, but the stuff he was standing for, to some degree, it's like, yeah, I back all that. I just, I don't know. I got mixed feelings about him as a player. I don't think he was really that good to begin with, and I don't know. We don't need to get into all that tonight, man. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't
No, I
want to.
know.
I don't want to
I
take it to
just
negative town, James.
no, that's fine. I just thought it was interesting how it's almost like it's also like Antonio Brown wants to stay in the spotlight
Oh yeah,
too.
but he wants to get on a team. His
Yeah.
is a little different. He wants to play, but and I'm sure he wants to make that money too. And then not pay his bills because it seems like that's his MO. The way you explained it to me, anyhow. So,
Yeah, that is his MO. He doesn't want to pay his bills.
well, I
You're
mean,
just
hey, if he doesn't get thrown onto a squad, I'm not going to cry too hard because we had at least two new Central Michigan players get into the league, and a third undrafted signed with the Lions. But the two that got drafted, I think, will be in the league for a while. They both look pretty solid, in my opinion. And so, as long as we still got some Central representation, I'm happy with that.
yeah, and I thought Central had a decent amount of talent coming into the league for or the players from Central had decent amount of talent to last. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, in the league right now, without Antonio Brown, you got Tyler Conklin, the tight end for the Jets. Eric Fisher is still a free agent, but I'm sure somebody will pick him up and he'll get back on a squad. Um, and then you got Sean Murphy Bunting with the Buccaneers. Man, honestly, outside of that, I don't know. I don't know if there's any other Central guys left that are hanging around. So, but we got two now that just got drafted, so that's good.
Yeah, I don't think they're. I think that's it.
It's getting thin. It's getting thin. All right, so let's move it on here, James. Let's do our 2022 NFL draft grades for rounds 1 through 3. And so last year when we did this, basically we went through pick by pick. We graded the pick. We talked about possible alternative selections and just kind of gave our comments on it. And so, kind of like we did the mock drafts, as we go, I'm going to be blocking guys off on what was my best available list. And that kind of helped me just for my organizational purposes say, well, yeah, if I was them, I might have gone this way or gone that way. But, we'll talk about, okay, did the guy fit the need? He was the best available. He fits their philosophy or yada, 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 whatever. However we want to do it. Cool.
Cool.
Okay, so James, first round, number one pick, the Jaguars selected defensive end Trayvon Walker. And that guy was flying up the boards going into the draft. A lot of people thought Hutchinson was going to be the pick until like basically the week of the draft. Walker gets the nod. What'd you think about that pick, man?
Oh, that was a terrible fucking pick. That was one of my worst picks of the draft. I mean, like I said, I think Jermaine Johnson was the best upside player in the draft. After Jermaine Johnson, Aiden Hutchinson, and I mean, I had Trayvon Walker probably as like fifth or sixth best.
Okay. So what if you got to throw a grade on the pick, what are you thinking for this pick?
I got to find Jacksonville on my notes because I did my notes a little differently this year, and
Okay.
I did them by team. I didn't do them in order. So
I gotcha. Okay.
and frickin' Office Online is not
All right.
working right.
Well, while you're looking, I'll give you mine. And I had a different opinion on this. I gave him an A minus, and I do have concern with the way he climbed up the draft board at the end like that. But I do believe he fits one of their top needs. In fact, the only needs that I had potentially bigger than defensive end were center and wide receiver. And I don't think that you could have gone for either of those positions at one overall. I think defensive end had to be the pick. I did hear that they were trying to trade out of the pick, and they just like it wasn't even close. Like nobody wanted to make a move, and so they were kind of forced into making a decision. The more I've read and looked into Trayvon Walker, the more I feel comfortable that the guy has like an incredibly high ceiling. And one of my concerns, which we talked about in our mock draft, was just that there was so much hype, but like the stats weren't really there for him. And why is that? Was it just because that defense was so stacked? What was going on? A lot of what I read is that this guy he's a big, strong defensive end that can move around into a lot of places on that defense. And that's what Georgia did with him, which is why he didn't really light up a ton of stats. And so I think that what I'm hearing, Jacksonville is going to put him in a spot and keep him there, give him his best chance to hone his skills and develop. And so I like the pick, but it's only an A minus because I do think they could have done better. My opinion is they could have done better with Hutchinson. Hutchinson, the stats matched basically the talent level that everybody was giving him, the grades he was getting. He was in the freaking Heisman running. They say, oh, maybe he doesn't have as high of a ceiling, but it's kind of hard to argue that. And nobody's got the crystal ball. I think that Hutchinson would have been the safer pick at number one and offered potentially the same, if not a better return anyhow. And so that would have been my pick, but I still think, they got the position right, and I think the guy's got a ton of potential for him.
Yeah, so I gave it a B plus. So I'm not that far off on you. I think he had the upside, and when you look at fit and stuff, I just thought there was better there. He's athletic. He will fit into that defense, and they can put him in the spot, which might be better for him. He has medium to high ceiling, but like I said, Jermaine Johnson, Aiden Hutchinson were, I thought, better fits for Jacksonville and better players with more consistent play, not such a disparity between their ceiling and floor as Trayvon Walker had.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, let's go to 2 and let's look at the Lions. They ended up drafting Aiden Hutchinson at 2. They basically just like sprinted that card in the second they were on the clock. And I heard something about the league got mad that they turned it in so fast, and it's like, come on, like that's the name of the game, man. They want to get it in because then it puts pressure on the next guy. And so, what'd you think of the Hutchinson pick?
I love it.
Tell me more.
Like I've been saying, Hutchinson is used compared to a different sport. It's a double off the wall every time. He's consistent. He was runner up for the Heisman at defensive line as an edge rusher. He was runner up for the fucking Heisman Trophy. That tells you how much of a freak he is. I think he's tough. There's some questions. I think there was questions going into the draft about his commitment to football, but I don't really believe those. I give this grade an A+. And rumor has it Detroit turned in their pick in 2.3 seconds.
That's fast, lightning fast.
Yeah.
No, I like it, and so yeah, I gave him an A for this pick, and could have been an A+, whatever. I gave him an A. I thought it was solid. It reminded me a little bit in ways of the Penny Sewell deal, where they didn't have to wait as long for Sewell to fall to them, but they knew immediately that they wanted this guy, and if he was there, they were taking him. I like that conviction. And to me, it's tough at 2. It's a similar thing. We saw some mock drafts where they had him taking Drake London, and I couldn't fathom them taking a wide receiver that high. In reality, I was kind of hoping that maybe they would trade the pick and stack up some more picks just because they got so many needs. But that if they were going to make the pick, at the end of the day, I was hoping it'd be Hutchinson. I thought, hey, you got a hometown kid, tons of talent. And James, he showed up in the biggest of games. He had a great game against Ohio State, which is the big U of M rivalry. And, I like it. High motor guy, high character guy. If there was going to be an alternative for that pick, it would have been too early, in my opinion, to go Jordan Davis. But, I was high on him. And then I think Kayvon Thibodeau would have been the alternative if you wanted to stay defensive end. But, we knew there were a lot of question marks and people wondering what the heck was going on with him. And so Hutchinson was, once again, the safe, smart, solid pick, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go to number 3. We got the Houston Texans, and they drafted cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. What'd you think of that pick, James?
I like this pick. Yeah, cornerback, 3rd overall. Ask the Lions how that works out. I understand that argument. I think Derek Stingley Jr. he's an elite athlete. He's burst. He has the fluidity to match receivers. Stride for stride. He can play anywhere on the corner. He can cover basically any receiver in the league from what I see. He has he has he
You'll get there. You'll get there.
I had him as a top 5 prospect, and I think this drafting him for Houston, it didn't necessarily fit what we identified as a need, but I think it was almost a no-brainer how the draft was looking and how I rated out the other players for Houston to pick him, and he'll fit into that Lovie Smith defense pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, and so I gave these guys a B+ for this pick, and I like Stingley. I like the talent. And we talked about it going into the draft that for the longest time, Stingley was rated as the top cornerback. And then like the week or two before the draft, it seemed like Sauce Gardner kind of leapfrogged him in a bunch of the mocks. And I was wondering, well, what the heck's going on with that? It's just is it smoke and mirrors? Is it, is there something I'm missing here? And so I think Stingley is a tremendous player. But like you mentioned, going number 3 overall, It's extremely high for a cornerback. I think it's only happened now 4 or 5 times, and so it's there's a reason for that. And so, I thought they could have gotten more bang for their buck going after an offensive tackle. I was looking at Ikem Ekwonu, however you say his name. I thought that would have been the solid pick, building from the trenches and working their way out. But Houston has so many freaking needs. If this was their best available, then hey, I commend him for going after the guy. I think he's going to do him good, and he's going to be there for a long time. Okay, so that takes us to number 4 with the New York Jets, and they ended up drafting cornerback Ahmad Sauce Gardner. So what did you think about that pick, James?
I like the pick. I'm not as gung ho about the pick as they were. I give it kind of an A minus. Um, I think they needed to go offensive tackle here. I mean, they did down the line, but I was concerned that I had concerns that whatchamacallit, Carolina might go offensive tackle, and they did. And I thought that Carolina was going to go with Evan Neal, not Ekwonu.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought Evan Neal was a better fit for the Giants. So I wanted to see them pick. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry if I was scrolled down a little bit.
You're fine.
So I wanted to see them. Oh, there's a pick missing. What the hell is wrong with my notes?
Uh-oh. Do we need to do a TV timeout? Hit the
Oh
commercials?
no, never mind. We skipped the Jets.
No,
No.
we're on the Jets.
Okay.
We're on the Jets.
I was thinking Giants because they were back to back. So
yeah, you were confusing me when you're talking about Carolina. I thought, okay, maybe you're getting ahead of yourself, but yeah, no,
I heard Giants, and then I'm looking at my
okay.
notes. I'm like, they
I
took
was
Thibodeau, or they took Thibodeau. Why are we talking
yeah.
about
No,
Gardner?
I was trying to. I didn't
What
want to
the?
interrupt you. I was waiting for you to finish it because I thought you were getting there, and but no, hey, yeah, we're on the Jets, dude. Yeah,
It's like,
so
okay. So
they
I
took Sauce Gardner. Yep.
I give this one an A.
Okay.
I give this one an A. I apologize. I got a little bit confused there. I think it. Look, the Jets had one of the best drafts this year. I mean, they're getting Sauce Gardner. I had him. I had Stingley and Gardner probably 1A, 1B, and it could go back and forth. I think fit into the system, into Salah's defense. I think Gardner would fit better than Stingley. So so I like it in that sense. I could have seen them going with Thibodeau here as opposed to Gardner, but I'm just in awe of the Jets draft this year. So I overall, based on how the rest of the draft played out, I give it an A.
Okay. Yeah, and so for the pick itself, I give it a B plus, and it's similar to Houston doing the cornerback at 3. I felt like for the Jets, going corner at 4 was a bit early and a bit out of sequence when they needed to strengthen the trenches. And you know how I feel. My philosophy is you start at the trenches and then you can go and get those other positions filled in. And so, especially with Robert Saleh as the head coach, I thought, man, they just need to be the team to take Thibodeau and start building that defensive line like he had out with the 49ers. And I thought he could go and get a cornerback or whatever later on because, if your defensive line is raising hell, you can get away with some sloppy cornerback play. And so I thought they kind of did it backwards. But like you said, when you look at the collective whole of what they did in the draft, I think they had a phenomenal freaking draft, and so I can't take anything away from them. I think it played out like perfectly for them.
Hmm.
But like in that moment of that pick, I was kind of like, oh man, what are they doing? And so I gave them a B plus for that one.
Okay, I think I was skewed by how the rest of the draft kind of played out for them.
Sure.
To, that led me to give them a higher grade on this because they got one of the best cornerbacks, and we'll get to the rest later.
Oh yeah. I mean, they cleaned up, man. They freaking cleaned up. Okay, so yeah, now we're going on to the New York Giants at 5, and they ended up drafting defensive end Kayvon Thibodeau. And so James, what'd you think of this pick, man?
So back to what I was saying about the Giants. I thought they did this reversed. I did think they did 5 and 7 reversed. I thought Carolina, there was a chance. Like while I could have seen Carolina taking a quarterback, I also thought there was a chance that they went offensive tackle. And I think since Carolina did go offensive tackle, I thought they if Iquanu fit better into the Giants scheme than Neil will. So I gave this a B plus.
Okay,
Kayvon Thibodeau's a good, uh, excellent player. He has a high ceiling, he, but I just think this was number 5 was too early for him. I think, but I think this pick here where the Giants went. I thought if the problem with if Aquanu was available for the Carolina at 6, I thought they were going to go offensive tackle. But if Aquanu wasn't available there, I thought they were going to go quarterback.
gotcha. Okay,
So that, I mean, it affected the entire rest of the draft.
yeah, and that's the crazy thing is that nobody's got a crystal ball, and so you're just making your best guess of what the other teams are going to do, and you're hoping that maybe if you take a guy here, maybe a different guy falls to you there. And I think some of these teams got lucky with that, and there's just no way of knowing unless they're colluding, which I highly doubt. But um, I ended up for the Giants, I gave them an A minus on the pick, and the only reason it wasn't an A is because I thought offensive tackle was the higher priority for them. I thought offensive tackle and defensive end were their top two, but I thought, okay, basically this is like the last chance for Daniel Jones. You got Saquon Barkley. It's kind of like his last chance. You had like Galladay and these receivers just, it's almost like, man, are you going to protect your quarterback and give this offense a chance, or what the heck are you doing? And so I thought that they did it backwards, and it should have been the tackle, but there was just too much value to pass on Thibodeau, and so I still think it was a good pick, but that's why it gets an A minus instead of the full A in my book. Cool.
Cool.
Okay. Number 6, James, we got the Carolina Panthers, and they took offensive tackle Ikem Ekwonu. What do you think about that pick, man?
So I gave this pick. I mean, what's higher than an A plus? Like an A plus 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 plus. Like just extend it out as far as you can go. This was the biggest even bigger no brainer pick than the Lions picking Hutchinson at number 2. Iquanu, I thought, was the best offensive tackle in the draft. I mean, whoever's playing quarterback for Carolina next year, they will have, or this coming year and in the future, they will have that protection for him in Aquanu. I mean, you're looking at like, what's his face from San Francisco type player here.
Oh, you're talking,
Trent Williams.
yeah.
You're talking Trent Williams. You're talking Orlando Brown. You're talking the elite of the elite of the elite offensive tackles 2-3 years from now.
Yeah, and so I ended up giving him an A minus on this one, and I liked the pick, and I think really my only knock is just that, and I guess this is just me. Yeah, I talked myself into Kenny Pickett at quarterback. I thought, come on, this has got to be it. And I knew the week of the draft they were saying, oh, we don't need a quarterback, this, that, blah, blah, blah. But I thought, hey, you can never really trust what they're saying because it's all a freaking mind game. But I kind of thought, man, you got to get that quarterback because if you don't make something happen this year and show some magic, this whole regime's going to be out. And I like the tackle. I think that if McCaffrey stays healthy, it's going to help him tremendously. I think no matter who's at quarterback, whether it's Darnold or whoever remains to be seen, it does help them tremendously. And so I still think it was a good pick. I just kind of thought, man, I thought if there was a time to do the quarterback, this was going to be it. And so, maybe that was just me having my heart set on him here. But either way, A minus, still pretty solid. And I like the pick. So it's cool. Okay, moving on here. We got the Giants back on at 7, and they took offensive tackle Evan Neal here. You were kind of talking a little bit about some of this earlier, but why don't you grade the pick and I guess close off your thought on this pick, man?
I give it a B plus, and the
Okay,
reason why I give it a B plus is I thought this should have been where they picked Thibodeau and they picked Iquanu at 5. I will hold to that. I think overall Iquanu is a more rounded offensive tackle and he's more consistent. I think Evan Neal is um, more of a run blocker than a pass blocker.
correct.
And while, yeah, they have Saquon Barkley, part of the problem with the Giants is Daniel Jones, and you need to be able to protect Daniel Jones, and you need a pass blocker there, which is what Iquanu is.
Okay. Yeah, and so this pick, I ended up giving this one an A, and it's basically because I'm like, okay, so now they got Thibodeau at 5, and they still ended up landing one of the top 2 tackles. I thought, wow, we talked about that crystal ball thing. It's like if you could have known that it was going to play out that way, I felt like they played it right, even though I kind of criticized the Thibodeau pick just a little bit earlier. But I agree with you. Evan Neal, he's more of a run blocker, and I think they would have been better with Aquanu. But I think it was pretty solid either way, and I do like that they addressed both the trenches, which happen to be both of their top needs. And so at this point, I thought, damn, the Giants, it's actually looking pretty good for them. I felt good about it. Okay, so next up we got the Atlanta Falcons at number 8, and they drafted Drake London, wide receiver. What'd you think of that pick, James?
Well, I'm going to caveat my grade on this is I really like Drake London.
Okay,
I really think Drake London has the potential to be a star in this league. I I give it a A minus because I thought they should have gone offensive tackle here as well, and I thought they should have gone Charles Cross, not wide receiver. I understand the logic for going wide receiver here, and I really like Drake London, but I just think it was the wrong pick at the wrong time.
okay. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I ended up giving him an A here. And this actually tied into our mock draft. I mocked him a wide receiver, and I kind of talked about it when we did that, where I felt like at this spot in the draft with the needs that they had, it just, it's kind of like, where do you go? Do you go quarterback? And I didn't think it made sense here. And I started looking at just they got nobody in their wide receiver room, and I just thought, geez, man, if you're going to have your pick of the litter at wide receiver, this to me was like, okay, that's the time to do it. And so I was comfortable with them taking this pick. London, he's this big, elite kind of red zone possession receiver. Not a whole lot of top end speed, but he's going to get that jump ball like 9 out of 10. And so I liked the pick. I just wasn't sure what else they would do. I mean, who would have been? You're saying Charles Cross? Is that what
Yeah.
I heard? That would have been your pick here? Yeah. See, I had offensive tackle further down on the list, but yeah, that's one I'll have to think about. But no, I was okay with it, so I gave him the A. Yeah, and it was just I didn't see the next best alternative. But all right, so that takes us to 9 with Seattle, and James, they ended up taking Charles Cross. And so why don't you tell me what you thought about that pick, man?
A plus. I think for Seattle fit in that offense, I thought he should have gone a pick earlier. For him to fall to Seattle was perfect. And this is another one where it kind of may have affected the rest of the draft because if I remember correctly, let me double check. Yeah, we had in our mock draft we had them taking a quarterback. I think if Charles Cross wasn't available here, you had a chance to see the first quarterback go here. But I think Charles Cross fits perfectly his ability to run block and pass block is fits perfectly into what Pete Carroll and Seattle wants to do offensively, and I love this pick. I mean, Iquanu, Neal, Cross, 1, 2, 3, whatever order you want to put them in. It just depended on fit for what the team needed. But I had all of them 1A, 1B, 1C on my board.
Yeah, and since the draft has ended, I've actually been reading a lot that, to me, has me thinking that maybe Charles Cross was the best of the tackles. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it just they're just a lot to like in the guy. And so when I looked at this pick, I ended up giving these guys an A minus. I liked the pick. It was their number 2 need, in my opinion. Quarterback being number 1. And when we did our mock, we thought, they could legitimately go quarterback, and we talked about Malik Willis and some of the options. And I just I can't fathom them really being competitive with Drew Lock. But at the same time, when you see the way that the quarterbacks fell down the board, I can't really knock him on it. So it's an A minus. It's not anything worse than that. I think it was still a great pick. And either way, whoever plays quarterback, you got to protect the guy, and that's something they did a really shitty job all those years with Russell Wilson, barely giving him a line to work with. And so I do like the pick. I am worried about their quarterback situation, but I'm not sure that they could have fixed it here anyhow, I guess. So okay, so number 10, back with the New York Jets, and they took wide receiver Garrett Wilson. What'd you think of this pick, James?
I love it. I think Garrett Wilson fits. This is an A plus pick to me. He fits perfectly into that offense. Complements Corey Davis and Elijah Moore perfectly. He is the big play burst, but he's also a technical route runner and great hands. He slide more into you're probably going to put more into the slot, and he'll become possibly the primary deep ball threat for Zach Wilson. And it was a no-brainer with him still being available here.
Gotcha. So for my end, I ended up going with an A minus on this grade, and I like the pick. I think like we're saying, arguably the best receiver in this draft class, and they need a wide receiver 1, and so I think it was a good pick. But for me, it's similar to where they were at with 4. Instead of going cornerback at 10, I thought they should, instead of wide receiver, they still should have addressed that defensive end spot. And when I saw Jermaine Johnson still sitting there on the board, I thought this was a slam dunk pick. And when it wasn't, it kind of surprised me, but not that much because I thought, okay, once again, it's a team with a lot of needs. And so it made sense. And obviously, as the draft played out, it worked out for him pretty damn well. But I really wanted Jermaine Johnson to be the pick here, so I gave him an A minus instead of the A. Uh, I think when I look at their grade in totality, which we'll talk about later, but they fucking nailed it. So yeah. All right, so 11, we got the New Orleans Saints, and they took wide receiver Chris Olave, however you say his name. What'd you think of this pick, James?
So we have to first. I have to.
You want to talk about the trade
Yeah, the
factoring in here?
trade. How they traded up for him, and I'm
Sure.
trying to remember exactly what they gave up to trade for him. This is one of the weird trades. I give it. Let me see. Let me remember exactly who they gave up. 10, no, 11. First round in exchange for a first, a third, a fourth. I'm going to give it an A minus.
Okay.
I think they gave up a little bit too much to move up. What was it? 4 spots, 5 slots. Um, a little bit too much just to move up 4 or 5 slots to take Olave, whatever. Where they would have picked, I mean, they still would have had their choice of whichever one was still there, Olave or Dotson. I think the Commanders would have probably still gone with Dotson. Um, so I don't like how much they gave up for him,
Sure.
especially just considering who the Commanders would have probably. I think he fits well in their offense though. So what did I say? B plus A minus.
Oh man, I'd have to look at the tape, James. I already forgot. I want my
Yeah,
gut's
B
saying you
plus.
said A minus, but maybe it was B plus.
It's right borderline. So I'll leave it at an A minus.
Okay.
Thing that just draws back is how much they gave up for it. While it seems in a like a fourth round pick, like those are players talent that can come into the team, and New Orleans needed those low pay guys to come in.
Yeah, this I tell you, man, this one I was torn on. I ended up giving it an A, and I didn't like adjust for the trade and what kind of value they got there. I just looked at the pick and I said, okay, in my opinion, it was their top need, and they made the move to go up and get the guy, and they filled their top need with, in my opinion, after like kind of looking at the way the dust settled and the more I learned about it, it seemed like you kind of had a handful of wide receivers that were like really the people that were like wide receiver one capable. And this was one of the guys. And I thought, okay, it kind of takes that burden off of if Michael Thomas punks out again this year with injuries or whatever else, they still got a shot on offense. Um, but like I said, I was conflicted because at this point of the draft, I thought they could have went inside linebacker, Devin Lloyd, or one of those kinds of picks. I also thought this could have been a perfect spot to go Jordan Davis. Man, I thought that when they traded up here, there were a lot of directions they could have gone in, and they probably all could have been right. And so I think it was good. So I gave him an A here. Next up, James. I know you're excited. Number 12, Detroit Lions. They selected wide receiver Jamison Williams, man. What'd you think of the pick?
A number one wide receiver. A.
Are you drinking the Kool-Aid, or you really feel that about the guy?
I I I really feel he's going to be the number one wide receiver, and projecting into the future. Um, and this is my way too early. Detroit Lions pick for next year's draft is Bryce Young, and you have that instant chemistry.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Honestly, you just got me super excited when you said that. I mean, that means we probably gotta have like the number one pick next year, but um, number two, you think?
Number two, I
Okay.
think I think there's what's his name? Let me.
What's the Ohio State guy ahead of him, you
No,
think?
no, no, no. I gotta find it. I have one.
So this would be a reverse of the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. We get the wide receiver, then we get the quarterback.
Oh yeah, it is the Ohio State guy. I had to
Okay.
look up his name. C.J. Stroud is
Yeah.
who I have going number one. I think if we get to number two, possibly. Let me see. Just glancing at my nose. I think as long as we are ahead of Carolina and the Giants, and the Seahawks.
Okay.
Yeah, Carolina, the Giants, and the Seahawks. As long as we're ahead of those three teams, which is going to be a stretch, but I think it's possible. I think we can get Bryce Young and that chemistry, instant chemistry, Jamar Chase,
Sure.
Joe Burrow, and the Lions go to the Super Bowl.
Hey, man. Well, we do have the 2 first-round picks again next year. So, even if we're not quite right there, we got some draft capital to play around with and maybe get there if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, dude, I gave it an A as well. And I mean, we talked about it earlier. If they were going to trade 32 and 34, I wanted it to be for Jamison Williams. All I'm saying is that they just need to be patient with the guy. Let's not rush him back and risk him getting hurt. You got him. You got the 5th-year option on him. Ease him back and do it right because this is about the long run for this team. You don't need to make the playoffs this year. But when he's ready, he's that wide receiver one that this team's been lacking, and he rounds out that offense. And like I was saying in the mock, it's like take him if you can get him, and then you just go all defense from there, and that'd be perfect. And it's almost what they did, but yeah, we'll keep talking about that. So I liked it. At 13, James, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. They took defensive tackle Jordan Davis. What are your thoughts, my friend?
A plus pick. If Fletcher Cox on a 1-year contract, Fletcher Cox mentoring this guy, teaching him how to play the game. After this year, Fletcher Cox retires, and you have that Fletcher Cox player coming right back in. And you have no gap in time.
Yeah, I mean, you said everything you need to say. I mean, this guy, I mean, man, they found the perfect like heir to that particular throne, and that's like a very important part of that defense, getting that inside pressure. I loved it, dude. I thought it was great that they took this guy, and I think it's going to be a really, really solid pick for them over the long haul. Okay, so that takes us to 14 with the Baltimore Ravens. They ended up drafting safety Kyle Hamilton. What'd you think of this pick, James?
I give this an A. Baltimore's been looking for that special playmaking safety since Ed Reed left, and they have him here. He's good against the run. He's great in pass coverage. He impact plays. Possibly, this is my way too early pick for defensive rookie of the year.
Oh, gotcha. Oh man, that's impressive. Well, hey, I like hearing that, man. I like hearing that you're supporting the guy. I gave him an A minus on the pick, and it's tough. I felt like there was too much value to pass on him, and so it just seemed like a smart, typical Baltimore Ravens move. Where if that guy gets there, you're going to take him. It's a no-brainer. But I thought, man, they traded away Hollywood Brown, which created an opening at wide receiver. And then I felt like they have a needed inside linebacker, and you had some guys like Devin Lloyd right there that it was like you could go after them. And I'm still concerned a little bit about that 40 time with Kyle Hamilton. It's like, geez, man, it just seems like there's like more I got to look into with him of like how big of a deal is that, and or will it be at the NFL level? Because sometimes you can get away with shit in college. Like you remember the Lions had Teez Tabor, that cornerback from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to be a first-round pick, and then he ran a dog freaking shit slow 40. We ended up taking him in the second round. Everybody thought, oh, we got a steal. The dude sucked, did nothing in the NFL. And part of it was because the speed was an issue at the NFL, even though he was able to get away with it in college. And so that makes me a little bit nervous with Hamilton. I think Hamilton is more of an elite player than Tease Tabor was, but that's all I'm saying. That's why I gave it the A minus instead of the A. Okay, so 15. We got the Houston Texans and James. They drafted guard Kenyon Green. What'd you think about that pick, man?
C. This is a C. Okay, you have Lindenbaum still on the board. You have Zion Johnson still there. You have Jermaine Johnson still there. I mean, there's so many different ways they could have gone with this pick that made more sense than Kenyon Green. It was. I don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
It just doesn't.
Yeah, so I didn't hit him as hard as you did. I ended up giving him a B plus on this one. Um, I thought that because they had so many needs, it was still a good pick, but I thought that for sure they could have gotten more value out of the pick. I thought that ideally they would have gotten the offensive tackle, but at this point of the draft, really those like top guys were off the board. I thought maybe Charles Cross would have fallen into him here, and it didn't. And then without that, like you're kind of saying, I would have looked at Jermaine Johnson at defensive end. It was actually right around this time I started thinking, geez, what the hell's going on with this guy? Why is he still sliding? But then I thought, okay, Kenyon Green, they do need more than just a tackle on that offensive line. And you got to give Davis Mills the protection. You got to open up some running lanes. And so I kind of thought, like, in theory, it was an okay pick, but it was a reach of a pick. They could have gotten more bang for their buck. And so I liked it, but they could have done better for sure. Okay, so at 16, we got the Commanders, the Washington Commanders. And so, James, they took Jahan Dotson, wide receiver out of Penn State. What'd you think of that pick, man?
So this is similar. This ties into my grade for who was it? New Orleans. I give this an A minus. They got later round value, went down a couple slots, and I think they got the guy they wanted. I think because for Carson Wentz to be most effective, you need a deep threat in the outside, and Dotson will do that for them. Complement McLaurin fairly well, and I think Williams or Olave might have been better for them, which they would have been.
Yeah, if they stayed put.
Either of them if they stayed put. So that's why I gave an A minus. But they also got more capital
I got you.
to play with.
Yeah, and I guess if I factored in the trade, maybe I wouldn't have been as harsh on them. When I looked purely at the pick, I ended up going B minus here. And I like Dotson. I think he's like a highly athletic guy. He's going to be a good wide receiver too on that team, like you're saying, and they need that complementary piece. And so I think, I think it fits and it's fine. I gave it a B minus because I had offensive tackle is a higher need, which at this point of the draft, there really wasn't a guy there. The next need I had was inside linebacker. And I just thought, holy cow, you got a couple of them just staring you in the face. I had Nakobe Dean and Devin Lloyd ranked 12th and 13th respectively. Dotson I had all the way down at 28, and I thought, man, it just seemed to me like this would have been the time to go after one of those inside linebackers. But you know me, I'm a defensive guy. I wanted to see them continue to build the defense. I thought they had enough on offense; they could have gotten away with it. They still have Curtis Samuel and whoever else, but still okay. But I wasn't happy with it, so I went B minus here. Okay, so at 17, we got the Chargers. They took offensive guard Zion Johnson. What'd you think about this pick, James?
A plus, A
A
plus,
plus.
A plus, A plus, A plus. Protect that quarterback, Zion Johnson. I had him as my best guard available. Like I mentioned a couple picks ago, I thought Houston should have considered taking Zion Johnson over Kenyon Green, and I still think that he does a little bit of everything. He's he can play inside or outside. He can play guard or tackle. Just protect Herbert, make that Super Bowl run. I love what the Chargers are doing. The Chargers are winning the AFC West. The Chargers are potentially going to the Super Bowl this year, and they're doing everything right and building the team properly.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, I mean, for these guys, James, I ended up going A minus on it, and I like the pick. I think the future of this team. I mean, it's about Herbert. We know that. And but I also feel like they got enough there that offense is kicking ass already, and their Achilles heel last year was the defense. And so when I looked at their needs, I had defensive tackle as the number one. I had guard at number two, and I do like Zion Johnson, but I thought this would have been a good spot to go Devontae Wyatt and fill that defensive tackle spot, maybe help them with their run defense. And it just, I still think good pick, but I would have just gone the other way there, and I thought maybe that would have taken it from an A minus to an A, but still pretty good overall. Okay, at 18 we got the Tennessee Titans, and so James, they took wide receiver Treylon Burks. This one, man, this one requires a discussion, I'm sure. So why don't you give it a tackle here first?
All right, first of all, they traded A.J. Brown for this pick.
Yes.
First and foremost, this is possibly my lowest graded pick of the entire draft. If not, it's tied for my lowest graded pick for the entire draft. I give this pick an E.
Okay.
This is a failure. This is fold the franchise, open up an ice cream shop failure in the draft. They took, by drafting Treylon Burks, trading away A.J. Brown, they took the big play potential out of that offense. You do the offense with A.J. Brown and how it was. You had the play action with Henry that could lead to big plays. With Burks and Robert Woods, it's more of an intermediate passing attack, and it took them from playoff contention to number one pick contention.
Oh, wow. That big of a swing, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, and hey, I hear everything you're saying, and to a large degree, I'm with you on it. I ended up going C here, and James, I was kind of in the middle because maybe this was just me trying to find the silver lining in it, but I don't know everything that happened that led to the breakdown with them and AJ Brown. Was it they couldn't get to them
$4
on?
million a season.
All right,
$4
so
million
so
a
part of it
season.
was money, and I believe that Treylon Burks has the potential to be a really good wide receiver in the league, and so if it works out, it's like, okay, you did all this just to get cheaper at wide receiver, significantly cheaper. But it's a ton of risk because you're getting rid of a proven playmaker, like you said, and you're bringing in an unproven guy, which, I mean, they talk about like the stats with these first round picks. It's basically like 50-50, man. Flip the coin. This guy's either going to get it or he's not. We're going to find out sooner than later. But one of the other reasons why I didn't want to totally smoke it and go down to like a D or an E is that I also look at AJ Brown and I'm like, man, the guy is always banged up. He is always on that injury report. And so I thought, okay, that leads to a lot of uncertainty with your team and the guy not practicing a lot. And it was like, okay, so they just weren't happy with the way it's working out, and that this was just going to be what was best for everybody. And so I don't know. I kind of put it as a C because I just felt like that was a safe spot here because it's I just honestly I was just confused by it. I thought, geez, man, uh, common sense would have been, hey, you got a proven guy, sign him and hang on to him. I keep, there's a trend here with some of these picks. It's like this is inside linebacker time. That's a huge need for Tennessee. Like they could have done some other things and filled some holes. It's like they created a hole just to plug the hole, and all it did was really save money. It didn't make the team better, and so yeah, it probably worse than a C, but I gave it a C. Okay, on to 19. We got the New Orleans Saints, and they took Trevor Penning, offensive tackle. What'd you think of that pick, James?
I thought Penning was possibly the perfect replacement for Teron Armstead. He's that mean, nasty streak and he's athletic. I think you have Ramchak on one end, you have Penning on the other end, and that's a formidable offensive line to protect Jameis Winston
Yeah,
or whoever their quarterback ends up being down the line. Um, I just think he's an ideal fit into the offense, and I give it an A.
nice. Well, I like that you're positive on the pick, and um, yeah, it's a good point that they needed somebody to replace Armstead. I ended up going B here, and I guess I got fixated on Dennis Allen being a defensive-minded guy. Um, and this isn't his first rodeo as head coach. He had some time with the Raiders, and I thought, man, you went wide receiver with that first pick. Go defense. And I was thinking either linebacker or defensive tackle, which I thought were higher needs than the offensive tackle. But I mean, a B maybe is a little bit harsh because that left tackle spot is pretty critical too. Um, and so I could see it either way. But yeah, that was my way of looking at this one. Okay, so at 20, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. James, we got a quarterback off the board, Kenny Pickett. What'd you think about the pick?
I like it. I think Pickett is more of the traditional passer that fits into Matt Canada's offense. He has a deep ball. He has enough athleticism, and he's ready to play now, and he's ready to compete for the job now, as opposed to any of the other quarterbacks. I think Pittsburgh. It was a no-brainer that Pittsburgh had to draft a quarterback and had to come out of this draft with their franchise quarterback, and I think Pickett fits that bill. And also, he just has to move one locker room over, really. So
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, yeah, that's a nice story. You got the hometown kid, and you know, they need the quarterback. I get it. Man, so James, I ended up going B again, and I went B on this pick because I think part of it is I started talking myself up on Mitch Trubisky after we went through some of that, and I looked through their needs, and I thought quarterback was their fifth need, in my opinion. I thought they could have ran this year out with Mitch and seen how it played out, and then went quarterback next year. Um, I had offensive tackle and wide receiver as higher needs. I didn't see value on the board. And so I was thinking cornerback here. I thought, man, that was a real weak spot for him last year. This could have been a chance to go Trent McDuffie. He was the number 14th ranked guy on my board. I thought, okay, at 20, you're now getting some value there. Um, and so I dinged him a little bit, and then James, this is look, man, this is I know we're doing this on YouTube, but this is like just kind of between you and me. Just I did my own hand measurement. I watched a YouTube video about how quarterbacks get their hands measured in the NFL, and I was blown away to find that I have a bigger measurement than Kenny Pickett, and that I'm just telling you makes me nervous, man. You're talking Pittsburgh weather, which I mean, I guess he's used to, and he wears the glove. It just makes me nervous, man. I've seen a lot of guys fumble the ball a lot in the NFL with But hey, it's anything can happen. I don't want to, you know, I love his tape, dude. He throws a great ball. He had an awesome season. It just, man, I don't know. The hand size, I didn't think it was that big of a deal until I measured my own hand, and now I'm like, I'm imagining myself throwing a football and like, maybe it being rainy or snowy, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know how this guy's gonna get done, but I guess he's already getting it done to some degree. So no comment. Okay.
So on the hand size thing, most quarterbacks and most top prospect quarterbacks now, and I heard Phil Sims talking about it. They're gripping the ball small, which means they're moving their hand closer to the nose of the football when they throw the ball,
Yeah, you were telling
and
me that. Yeah.
that is how Pickett compensates for the small hand size, and how hand size doesn't necessarily matter because you have less of a ball to grab where these quarterbacks are being taught to throw from now, and that's why I think it's not a problem. Plus, anyways, it's it's a half inch. Yeah, I understand half inch could be considered a lot. Half inch is also not that much difference between Joe Burrow and Kenny Pickett, and everyone was all up in arms about Joe Burrow's hand size, and look what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, he's lighting it up. So yeah, no, I think you've done a good job trying to mitigate that risk, and I appreciate that. All right. 21, Kansas City. They took cornerback Trent McDuffie. What'd you think of the pick, man?
I like Trent McDuffie. I like Trent McDuffie. I
But
do. I think he's a good replacement for Javarius Ward. I think he's he can do everything needed in Spagnola's defense. I don't think they needed to trade up to draft him.
yeah, that's a good point. They probably
So
could have
therefore,
waited. Yeah.
I give it a B. If
Okay.
I think McDuffie or Elam would have fell to them at 29, and either one of those players would perfectly into. I'm sorry, not fit perfectly, fit well into Spagnola's um, system, and so because if they picked him at 29, it would be an A, but it's a B minus area because of the trade up.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and I didn't factor the trade in. I'm glad you mentioned that because I gave him an A minus here. I like the pick a lot, and I feel like it's been a weak spot on their defense for a long time. And it seems like they do get something out of a cornerback every year. And so, like you mentioned, Travarius Ward, he did okay for them. And then before him, they had, Bashad Breeland had a good season with them the one year. And it's like, it seems like they find a way to kind of like patch it together. But to me, when they drafted him, I thought, damn, nice move, man. You're finally going to get some, stability at that position and have somebody that can really lock that down for a while. The only pick that I would have gone better, I come back to the Jermaine Johnson thing. I'm like, man, defensive end is a very important position. And I felt like that would have been a very good spot for them to make that move. But at the same time, they do still have some guys on that defensive line. They're just getting long in the tooth. And so cornerback was solid. I kept it at A minus. But I'm glad you mentioned the trade component because that's a factor we got to consider here. Okay, so at 22 we got the Packers. They took inside linebacker Quay Walker. What'd you think of the pick, James?
Okay, this is a D minus. I like Quay, I like Quay Walker. I I I I I like Quay Walker. I think it fit a need for them. That's the only reason why it's not an E. Um, the Packers needed, and this is going to be possibly the only time anybody will utter this sentence, and possibly the only time anyone will utter this sentence has uttered this sentence in the history of the NFL. The Packers needed to be the Detroit Lions and trade up for Jamison Wu. The Packers needed to be
Yeah.
the Detroit Lions. Since they
Yeah.
didn't do that, yeah, it's a need, so it's not an E, but it's an E, or it's a D minus.
Okay. Man, you smoked him. So I gave him a C plus here. I you know, I truly believe, like many, that wide receiver was the top need, but there wasn't a guy here on the board, and so I didn't want to punish him for that. Um, but I had linebacker as another top need, and we talked about previously how they signed Devondre Campbell. They brought him back, which was good, but they still needed help at linebacker. And so I was okay them going linebacker. I just thought they went with the wrong one. I had Quay Walker a lot further down on my board. I had him like in the mid 30s. And at this point, you still could have went Devin Lloyd or even Nakobe Dean, which we found out. I mean, he fell like crazy, but you had your pick of the litter, and I kind of thought, wow, like I didn't see Quay Walker being ahead of those other guys, and so to me, it was I could have gotten on board with the position. I just thought they passed on the better talent, so I went C plus. Okay, at 23, we got the Buffalo Bills, and they went Kaiir Elam, the cornerback. What'd you think of this pick, James?
They traded up to get ahead of Dallas. Just get up 2 slots, and it makes no sense why they traded up because Dallas was not going to draft Elam. There was no way Dallas was drafting Elam. But then again, why draft Elam over Booth?
Yeah, that I don't know, man.
I like the fit. I like him on the opposite side of what's his face? Tre'Davious
Oh,
White.
yes, thank you. I was. You paused for a second. And I started. The wheels were turning. Like, oh, James needs me, but then you got it
Yeah,
before I got it. So
yeah.
okay.
Tre'Davious White. I think he's a good compliment on the opposite side of him, but I think Booth Jr. would have been better. So I give this pick a B.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, and I agree with you in terms of Booth being the better pick. I thought Booth was honestly, I thought he was underrated a little bit in my opinion. I thought he should have went a lot higher than he did, but that's okay. He still found a good home. With this pick, I ended up going B here, James, and you know, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Buffalo likes to be stacked at cornerback, and so I'm not surprised that they did it. But I had defensive tackle as a higher priority, and at this spot in the draft, I thought, okay, come on, Devonte Wyatt, this is the time to go and get that guy. It would have just been, in my opinion, a better pick for Buffalo. I could have seen them going guard, but I also looked at the board and not really a good guard available at this point. But I thought Wyatt was going to be the pick, and so I understand why they did it, and I think it makes sense for what they like to do on that defense. It just the B is because it's not the way I would have done it. So next up, we got the Cowboys, and they took offensive tackle Tyler Smith, which I believe they're going to play him at guard this year. And so, what'd you think of that one, James?
So I'm going to say this is a B minus. Well, yeah, Dallas needed help on the offensive line. That defense is atrocious, and they needed more help on the defense. And one player that was falling and continued to fall past this spot was Jermaine Johnson.
Yep. Oh my gosh, man. If
And
they would have gotten
Dallas
Jermaine Johnson, James, holy crap, I didn't even think of him.
Dallas could have picked Jermaine Johnson here.
Yeah, Parsons can be a true linebacker at that point. You
Mm-hmm.
finally have the counterpart for Demarcus Lawrence. I see. This is another one where I was thinking, okay, if you're, oh man, wow, no, I didn't even think of Jermaine Johnson. That would have been a sweet pick here. Um, so I went C minus on these guys, James, and my whole thing was that I thought, okay, I thought defensive tackle would have been a priority, and we were just talking about Devonte Wyatt. I thought that could have been a good pick here. But I also thought, okay, this team is really all about offense, and they need to strengthen that offensive line. They had the need at guard. But man, I thought they could have done so much better with offensive line. I thought this could have been a chance for my guy out of Central, Bernard Raymond, to go, and maybe they just kind of shuffle some guys around on the line or whatever they wanted to do. I just thought they had better options. Uh, I don't know. I thought they had better options than Tyler Smith, man. So I went C minus here,
Hmm.
and I think it'll pay off in the long run. I guess I just think they could have done better, a lot better. So I don't know. Now I feel like it should have been a D after you said Jermaine Johnson. Like, holy crap, that would have been the home run for them here. Okay, so 25, we got the Baltimore Ravens. They took center Tyler Linderbaum. What'd you think of that pick, James?
A plus.
A plus.
A plus. First of all, and we kind of have talked about this
Yeah.
when this happened. Hollywood Brown didn't really fit into this offense.
No.
He didn't fit into how Lamar Jackson plays, and that's it was smart to trade him to get back into the first round. Secondly, one of their biggest needs to fill was the anchor on that offensive line, that
Yeah.
anchor in the middle. And Tyler Linderbaum was the best offensive line, best center in this draft by far.
Yeah.
A little bit other side note about Linderbaum is his mentor in college was Marshall Yanda,
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, some
who used
Baltimore
to
blood, man.
be on that Baltimore offensive line. You still so I don't have that in my notes. I just have former Ravens all everything guard Marshall Yanda was his mentor. So it's just way improved this offensive line, and that's what they need because Lamar Jackson was kind of starting to run for his life a little bit. Not literally run for his life like they were going to kill him, but was starting to
Yeah.
have
Yeah, and
to
they
get
lost
happy
they've
feet.
lost Bozeman. Yeah, they needed help on the line for sure. Yeah, and they lost what's his face, to the Chiefs before, they made that move and yeah, so I liked it. I gave him an A. I thought Linderbaum, yeah, he was it, this was another one of these just freaking perfect Ravens picks, man. It's like they were patient and the guy that they needed and it was like the best need the best player available met like their best need at the right time on the board. I mean, it just was like a thing of beauty, man. I liked the pick. I gave it an A. I still kind of thought, geez, they got to do something at wide receiver now because of the Hollywood Brown thing, but there's no wide receiver for them to get here. And so it was just like, this was a no-brainer pick. I thought it was solid, man. And so, James, that brings us to 26, New York Jets. They took Jermaine Johnson. Finally get this guy off the board. Please tell me what you thought here.
This is another one of those A plus 5,000 picks. Like this is an excellent pick. Jermaine Johnson has the upside to be the best defensive player in this draft, possibly the best overall player in this draft. His upside is
Yeah,
Nick Bosa.
yeah,
His upside is being Nick Bosa, and he fits perfectly into Saleh's defense. The Jets traded back into the first round. Didn't give up much to trade back into the first round for this pick. I mean, this is a phenomenal pick by the Jets. I can't believe that Jermaine Johnson fell this far, and I still haven't been able to figure out why he fell this far.
I haven't figured it out either. I've not heard anything that like really locks it in why he fell like this, but I gave it an A. I thought that this was, in my opinion, this pick is what transformed the entire Jets draft. Because I was kind of telling you earlier, I was a little concerned that they went out of sequence with the cornerback first and then the wide receiver. But when they hit this pick, I thought, holy shit. They got the guy that I thought was their top need and they got him late in the first round, making the other two picks now like just that much better. It was like if you could have had the crystal ball, like somehow they got the crystal ball and they
Hmm.
figured out, yeah, we can take these guys now because we're still going to get our guy later. And I mean, this pick, yeah, this like put the freaking cherry on top for me. I thought, wow, the Jets fucking nailed the first round, man. Okay, so that takes us to Jacksonville at 27, and they took inside linebacker Devin Lloyd. What'd you think here, James? It's about effing time. Somebody took an inside linebacker.
It's about effing time. Jacksonville traded up to with Tampa to or back into the first round with Tampa to get this pick. This is Caldwell's building that Tampa style defense he had with Lloyd and Alua Khan, similar to the roles Devin White and Levante Davis played for Tampa. And I like this. I really like this pick, and so I'll give it. Gave it an A. I like it that much.
Gotcha. I like that. I ended up going A minus, and I thought there was too much value to pass on the pick here. I was looking at their needs, and I was looking at the board, and I was having kind of a hard time finding like the clear connecting of the dots. I thought, man, no matter what they do, there's going to be a little bit of miss on the value. And I thought they had other positions that were more important, but this was a best available choice, and it was a good choice. So A minus. At 28, we got the Packers, and so James, they took defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt here. What'd you think of this pick, man?
While I like Devontae Wyatt, and while I I thought it was a nice fit, um, and he was. I mean, their first round draft picks were teammates in college, so you have that instant chemistry with your linebacker and defensive tackle, and you're on the same page. And um, Green Bay needed to be the Detroit Lions. They needed a package number 28 and whatever the other pick was, I already forgot. Package number 28 and 22 to trade into the top 10 and get a top tier wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers. And they didn't do that, and I give this pick a C minus because of that.
Gotcha. So I was a little nicer to him. I gave him a B minus here, and this is one that I went back and forth on a little bit. I felt like it was a good player to take at this spot in the draft. I just didn't really see the fit. I kind of thought, man, they've got other needs. They could have went in other directions. Um, but I also kind of felt like, some of their needs, like wide receiver, there weren't really guys here to give them that kind of bang for the buck. And so I saw myself kind of making cases for and against it, and just kind of like at the end of the day, it was like a lukewarm, like meh. So I went B minus here. Okay, so James at 29, we got the New England Patriots. They took offensive guard Cole Strange. What did you think about this pick?
So this is an E. Maybe this is an F. I mean, it's not quite as bad as the Tennessee pick. And the only reason is because it kind of fits a need. But my comment on this pick is I'm just gonna quote Sean McVay. And what Sean McVay said when this pick was, he happened to be doing a press conference. He said, "Man, why did I waste my time scouting this player? I thought he would be available at 104."
Yeah, kind of a dick thing to do, but he did just win the Super Bowl, so he can say things. And even though Belichick got him a few years ago in the Super Bowl, but Yeah, I gave it a D, and I think, the only reason I didn't give it an E is that it's like one of these weird things with Belichick where it's like, I don't know, man. Maybe he sees something where this guy's going to be a solid starter, and it's weird. I thought everything I heard on this guy was that he was third round at the very earliest. And it reminded me of like an old school Lions move where they used to go and get like freaking Alama Francis and these guys like in the second round that like most people had him like undrafted. And I thought when this happened, I was like, what is he doing? But I think because it's Belichick, it psyched me out a little bit. I couldn't give him the E, so I gave him a D. Uh, yeah, fucking Belichick. All right, so at 30, we got the Kansas City Chiefs. They took defensive end George Karlaftis. What did you think here, James?
All right, I think this is an A-plus move. I think I really like this draft pick. I really like the like Karlaftis's abilities. They can now keep Chris Jones inside, which last year, if you remember, when they moved Chris Jones back inside from the edge, he started to perform better. And then you get the good production opposite Frank Clark, who's kind of starting to fade. It's just I really like this pick. It fit a need. It's something that defensive line there, you need to keep Chris Jones inside, and this will allow them to do that.
I like that assessment, man. You're making my work easy for me. I gave it an A. I thought at this point of the draft, he was one of my top guys on my board, and it also was the top need that I had for the Chiefs. And so, perfect fit. I gave it an A. I was happy with it. 31, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. They took safety Daxton Hill. What'd you think about that pick, James?
This is the curious case of I like the player, I like the ability, I hate the fit.
Okay.
I don't understand why. Like, of any of the needs that Cincinnati had, safety was not one of them. They have
Yeah, they
have a
they
slot
signed.
corner, Mike
Yeah,
Hilton. They have Jesse Bates. They have Von Val. Why? 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 It's so confusing why they would draft a safety here. I mean, they could have gotten Logan Hall. They could have gotten I don't know. I just don't understand the fit here.
I gotcha. So I wasn't well. All right. So what was your grade on it? If you were going to give it a grade,
C plus.
C plus. Okay. So I was a little nicer. I gave him a B plus on this one, and I I wanted the pick, which I think you and I talked about. Maybe it was even in our mock draft. I wanted the pick to be Andrew Booth here. I thought, man, that would have been, he was one of my best available, and it was one of the top needs that I had for this team. But I also thought Daxton Hill wasn't that bad of a pick, even though I didn't have it as that high of a need for them. And some of that is that since he was drafted, I've read a lot about teams really wanting to have that strong tandem at safety now. And I kind of thought, this gives them that. And so,
Jesse Bates and Von Bell. What more do you need?
I don't know. But hey, so yeah, I went B plus. I guess I was being too nice. So, but yeah, I still would have preferred Andrew Booth here. But that's fine. Last pick of the first round, 32, we got the Minnesota Vikings. James, they took safety Lewis Cine. And what do you think of that pick, man?
So this was part of the trade with Detroit. So they moved down 20 spots and drafted Cine. Let me see. McCreary, maybe Petrie, who can play both, Kyler Gordon. These are all players that fit better with Minnesota than safety.
Okay.
I give it a A minus because I like the player. I don't like the fit.
Gotcha. Yeah, I went B minus on this one, and I had seen further down on my board, and some of that was like sort of like the last minute shuffling around as he ended up sliding a little bit, and so I had him closer to like a mid second round grade. Um, but I have heard of a lot of guys they had him with the first round grade, so it's not horrible. But this was another one where I thought Andrew Booth would have been a perfect pick here. I thought cornerback was their top need. I did hear later was seen that they like his versatility and that he could be potentially playing that slot cornerback role if they want him to. And so it's like, okay, maybe, but I don't like seeing square peg round hole stuff. And so I just thought, well, why not just do Andrew Booth and know you got a solid cornerback? And um, so I gave him B minus. All right, James, that's the first round, my friend. Let's move it on here and we'll jump into round two. I think for the sake of time, and this might be on par with what we did last year, is that we'll do kind of like some snap grades. And if you have like a comment you want to make on a guy, you can make it. Otherwise, we'll just kind of grade him and go, if that makes sense. Okay, so Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 33, they took defensive end Logan Hall.
A minus. Replace Ndamukong Suh.
I mirror that. I like that pick. I gave A minus as well. 34, we got the Green Bay Packers, and they took Christian Watson.
D plus. Well, yeah, they finally drafted a receiver. They moved up, and Christian Watson's upside is a return guy, not a every down receiver.
Oh, see, I must be drinking the Kool-Aid on Watson, man. He started flying up the board before the draft, and I don't know, dude. Everything I saw on this guy, I thought this is going to be that Packers wide receiver that ends up being good. And I guess I tricked myself into it. I gave him an A on this pick. So this is the farthest you and I have been off. And leave it to a snap grade. So I had to at least explain myself. But okay, 35 Tennessee. We got Roger McCreary.
B, only a B because best player available, doesn't fit a need.
I'm going B plus on him, and I mean, I had it like kind of as a midish need for them, but I didn't think it was like super great value at this spot. Okay, at 36, we got the Jets with Breece Hall. What'd you think there, James?
B, Kenneth Walker fit their offense better.
I gave him an A here. I thought they nailed I had Breece Hall as my top back, but I could see you going Kenneth Walker either way, so I thought that was fine. 37, we got the Houston Texans with Jalen Petre, however you say his name.
A, hybrid cover man, work slot, fits into Lovie Smith's defense.
Yeah, I gave this one a B. I thought there was better value on the board. I had Petrie a little further down. I thought they could have went in some different directions with outside linebackers and just all sorts of different stuff, but that's fine. 38 with the Falcons, we got Arnold Abikati, however you say his name. I struggled over this one before, James.
A, and it helps that defense, which had terrible pass rush.
Yeah, I went A minus here. I like that. 39, we got the Bears. They went Kyler Gordon. What'd you think there?
A.
Okay, I went A minus. I thought it was a solid pick. He was near the top of my board. 40, we got the Vikings. Defensive end, Boye Mafe. I'm sure I
40
butchered
had
his name.
we had the Seahawks with Boye Mafe.
Uh-oh, I must have
He went to
copied and pasted
Minnesota.
here.
He Boye Mafe from Minnesota, from the University of Minnesota, went to the Seahawks.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so the Seahawks, they here, yeah,
A plus.
A plus. You like that one a lot, huh?
Yeah.
That's cool. I went A minus on that one. I thought it was good. Seahawks again. Kenneth Walker. What'd you think of that pick?
B minus. Why do they need another running back?
Oh man, see, I went A. I thought obviously I'm a Sparty, but I thought James, Chris Carson starting to kind of fade. They got Penny sort of like on a short-term deal, and he's been hurt a lot. I thought this is Kenneth Walker coming in and being that potential grinder for them as this team goes back to their run first roots now that they got fucking Drew Lock at quarterback. So I don't know. I like the pick a lot, but that's okay. 42, the Vikings, Andrew Booth.
A plus.
Yeah, I thought that was solid. They got their guy, 13 picks, 12 picks later than, or 10 picks later, whatever, than I thought they needed to. 43, the Giants, Wandale Robinson.
C plus. Better receivers on the board still.
Yeah, I gave it a C minus. I thought their drama with Kadarius Toney kind of forced their hand to do this, and I had this guy a lot farther down on my board. 40, 44, Houston Texans, John Mechie the third.
A minus. I thought he had potential to be a first rounder.
Nice. I gave it a B plus. I felt good about that guy here. 45, Baltimore Ravens, defensive end David Ojabo.
A minus.
Nice. I gave it an A. I thought this guy, man, I'm surprised he slid this far. I know he's got the Achilles injury.
Exactly. That's was my concern with him.
Gotcha. Okay, Detroit Lions, 46, defensive end Joshua Pascal.
D plus. Too
D
much of a
plus.
reach. I
Fuck.
mean, too much of a reach. He was a third. He was a day
All right.
three prospect
All right.
at the
So
earliest late third round.
I gave him a B plus here, and this is a guy that going into the draft, I started reading a lot on, and a lot about his versatility on the line, being able to play end, being able to play tackle, getting a good interior push. High motor guy. I think I started kind of really liking this guy. I wasn't expecting the Lions to get him. And the only reason I didn't go A minus or A is that I kind of felt like it was redundant with, Hutchinson, a slightly different position, but, you got last year Onzawerke and McNeil. I kind of thought, okay, now we're going a little bit too much on the defensive line, but I did like the guy. And I don't know, maybe I can get you to read up a little bit more on him because I think he was rising. And so whether it was the Lions or another team, I thought this was a good spot for that guy to go, is I guess what I'm getting at. All right, 47, Washington Commanders, Fadarian Mathis.
C plus.
Okay.
It it
I gave it a C. It
it's
just didn't seem to make sense to me.
yeah. It doesn't make sense.
48, Chicago. They went Jaquan Brisker.
A. I like Brisker. I think he will fit well into the defense, and that it fit a need.
Yeah, I didn't have it as that high of a need, but I gave it an A minus because he was one of my top guys on the board here. Saints went with cornerback Alante Taylor. What'd you think there, James?
C. Redundant pick.
I went C minus. I had this guy way farther down on the board. 50, New England Patriots, Tyquan Thornton. What'd you think there?
C. Better receivers on the board.
Same here. I gave it a C as well. 51, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. They went center Cam Jurgens.
D plus. Day 3 pick.
Damn, see, I had him higher up on the board. I didn't think it was a bad pick, but I went B minus because I thought they could have addressed better needs at this point. 52 Pittsburgh Steelers, George Pickens.
A.
I'm with you. I thought they got a steal with him here. 53 the Indianapolis Colts, Alec Pierce.
B. Better receivers on the board.
I gave it a B plus. We're pretty close on that one. 54 Kansas City Chiefs, wide receiver Sky Moore.
A plus 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 plus.
All right. Well, let me ask you.
This is the replacement for Tyreek Hill, and this is it's a value pick at number 54, and he can fit the role that Tyreek Hill played with the deep balls.
All right. So I gave it a B plus, but I'm just, because I can do whatever the hell I want here, I'm switching it to an A minus. I guess it's a good fit for their next best need. They already addressed cornerback and defensive end. I guess I just saw Sky Moore and I thought, if you're going to replace Tyreek Hill, you need to get somebody better than that. But I think when you look at the way they address their needs, this was actually a pretty damn good pick. So I was too harsh with my B plus. I'm switching to A minus. Arizona at 55, tight end Trey McBride. What'd you think there?
B. Why do they need another tight end?
Yeah, same here. I was going to do B minus, but I put B. Dallas 56, they took defensive end D Williams.
A minus. I thought they should have gone in the first round with Jermaine Johnson. I think at this point it was a good fit and need, but I think they lost a lot of talent by waiting to the second round.
Okay, yeah, and I gave him a C minus. I kind of crushed him here. I had this guy way farther down on my board. I was kind of scratching my head, but hopefully other people had him higher up on the board, because I was just confused. Okay, 57 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Luke Goedeke from Central Michigan, James.
A minus, fit and need.
I gave it an A. I thought this was their top need at this point, and I'm high on this guy, man. I think he's going to be a good pro. 58 Atlanta Falcons, inside linebacker Troy Anderson.
B. Had higher needs than inside linebacker for them.
Yeah, I went A minus, and I'm gonna just, I guess, comment for a second on this guy. Is that I agree with you. I think they had higher needs. This guy going into the draft, I started hearing a shit ton about, him being like a sleeper inside linebacker in this draft. And so when they got him here late in the second round, I thought, man, this could be a bit of a steal. So this is a guy that I'm kind of bookmarking to keep an eye on. I went A minus, but that could totally blow up in my face. 59, we got the Minnesota Vikings, guard Ed Ingram.
C plus. He's not a good run blocker, and he was a day 3 prospect.
Oh, all right. I gave it a B. I thought it fit a good need, and maybe I had him a little bit higher than you, but that's all right. 60 Cincinnati Bengals, cornerback Cam Taylor Britt.
B plus, because they should have picked a first round cornerback, and they didn't.
I gave him a B on this one. 61 the San Francisco 49ers, outside linebacker Drake London.
A.
Nice. I gave it a B plus. I thought it was good value here. I just I didn't think it was that huge of a need for them. 62 Kansas City Chiefs, safety Brian Cook.
B.
I went B plus there. 63 Buffalo Bills, running back James Cook.
I give this an A. I really like James Cook's prospects for the NFL. I think, Singletary and who was the other guy last year? This is like the third year
Zach
in a row.
Moss. Oh,
Yeah,
they had Mostert, Raheem Mostert, you mean? So they had Singletary, they had Zach Moss, and then I think they had Raheem Mostert on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, and they keep trying to.
Or not Mostert, Matt Breida.
Yeah, Breida. Thank you.
Mostert. Jeez, I was way off.
They keep throwing running backs in there. I think it fits a need. I think he can even though Singletary broke out late in the season, I still think they need a more consistent running game, and he can um, play off Josh Allen's downfield passing.
I gave it a B plus. I like the pick. I just I don't think they utilize the running back enough for it to be all that amazing. But he's a good pick there. Uh, 64 Denver Broncos outside linebacker Nick Bonito.
A perfect compliment to Bradley Chubb.
Yeah, I went A minus there. Okay, so that gets us through round two, and we'll keep it going, just kind of moving at the fast pace here. I'm just going to give you my disclaimer, James, for some of these picks going into round three. It gets pretty sloppy because this is where basically the research in my rankings gets really disparate. Like some of it, I'm just not even sure what to make of these guys. So 65 Jacksonville Jaguars, they took center Luke Fortner.
I think he has a chance to be week one starter and replace Linder.
Yeah, I gave it an A minus. I like this one. 66 Minnesota Vikings inside linebacker Brian Asamoah.
B minus. I thought there was better players still on the board that would fit better.
Yeah, I went A minus. I liked the idea of this guy here, but I got you. 67 New York Giants, Joshua Azedru, however you say his name, guard.
See, the more powerful defensive lineman he struggles with.
Gotcha. I went B, but I didn't know a whole. I probably didn't have a great evaluation on him, to be honest. 68 Cleveland Browns, cornerback Martin Emerson.
B, um, I think they needed stronger cornerback in the AFC North.
Gotcha. Yeah, I went B there. 69 Tennessee Titans, offensive tackle Nicholas Petit Frere, however you say his name.
He'll take over for Taylor Wan in a couple years and possibly can play multiple positions on that offensive line.
Nice. Yeah, I went A minus. I thought that was a really good value there. 70 Jacksonville Jaguars, inside linebacker Chad Muma.
Um, B plus. I thought Muma was possibly a second rounder that fell.
Yeah, I went B plus here. I was tempted to go A minus, but B plus felt appropriate considering they already drafted a linebacker. 71 Chicago Bears wide receiver Velus Jones.
D plus. This was a day 3 pick that they picked on day 2.
Yeah, I went B minus. I don't know. I thought it was their top need, but I just thought they missed the boat on the wide receiver trade. So probably could have went lower. 72 Seattle Seahawks offensive tackle Abraham Lucas.
A minus. He could use some work on his rush passing, but he's an excellent pass blocker and could play either tackle or guard.
Yeah, I went A minus. And what is it with the Seahawks loading up on linemen after Russell Wilson's gone? They could have done this a few years ago. 73 Indianapolis Colts tight end Jelani Woods.
B. It's a replacement for.
Jack Doyle.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I went A minus. I liked it. I thought they have a need there at tight end. 74 74 Atlanta Falcons quarterback Desmond Ritter.
This is an A plus move. He has a similar style quarterback to Marcus Mariota. I had him as a first rounder. I think this is like a Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson type pick here.
Nice. Yeah, I thought it was really good value at this point in the draft, so I gave it an A minus. I thought well worth rolling the dice here. 75 Houston Texans inside linebacker Christian Harris.
A plus fit a need. I had him as a middle late second round pick.
Yeah, I thought that was a solid A, man. I thought that was a steal at this point in the draft. 76 Baltimore Ravens defensive tackle, Travis Jones.
They're going to groom him to be a replacement for Calais Campbell.
Yeah, they keep spanking the draft. I gave it an A. 77 Indianapolis Colts offensive tackle Bernard Raymond, Central Michigan, James.
A, perfect replacement for Eric Fisher.
This was a perfect fit. I thought they were going to find a way to get this done in the second round. I thought this was an amazing pick for them here. 78 Cleveland Browns defensive end Alex Wright.
C, mid day 3 pick and day 2.
Okay. See, I gave it a B. It seemed to make sense to me, but maybe I was off on the grade. 79 Los Angeles Chargers safety JT Woods.
C, he has a lot of work to do.
I went B minus. I thought it was a need, but yeah, I didn't like the grade on the guy. 80 Denver Broncos tight end Greg Dulcich.
I give it an A. They had to replace Noah Fant.
Yeah, I gave it a B. I thought it was okay, but I don't know. Russell Wilson's never really favored tight ends like that. So 81 New York Giants cornerback Cordero Flott.
C, should have addressed cornerback earlier, kind of reached on him.
I went B minus. I felt like it was a little bit of a reach as well. 82 Atlanta Falcons outside linebacker D'Angelo Malone.
B plus, perfect asset versus the run.
Yeah, I went B plus there too. 83 Philadelphia Eagles Nakobe Dean.
A plus 5 billion. This was the late first, early second round pick that they got in the third round.
Yeah, that was a fucking steal. I'm actually a little bit upset that the Lions didn't go after him in the second round, but it's okay. uh, 84 Pittsburgh Steelers defensive tackle DeMarvin Leal.
I give him an A. He'll be situational, but it'll give him options and to rest their and to give people rest in their front seven.
Yeah, I gave him an A here too. I thought he slid down the board unnecessarily, and they got some good value there. 85 New England Patriots cornerback Marcus Jones.
Give him an A. I think this was a perfect fit. He's kind of like Honey Badger and Ball Hawk in his technique, and I think he'll be a good replacement for J.C. Jackson.
Nice. I went B plus. I thought they should have addressed the need sooner in the draft, but I don't want to complain about it. I think it could be okay for him. 86 Tennessee Titans quarterback Malik Willis.
A plus. I thought Willis was going to go in the first round. Well, next year, 2023, possibly 2022, be the starter for Tennessee. But 2023, he'll take over that team and replace Tannehill.
Yeah. All right. So I guess let me just pause on this one. I went B minus, and maybe I'm not looking at it the right way. I just looked at it as Tannehill's taken a lot of shit for one bad game. And I understand it mattered because it was playoffs, but Tannehill has been really freaking good for that team other than that one game. And so I just kind of thought it was a wasted pick because I guess I still think Tannehill's the guy. But I guess it doesn't hurt to hedge your bet. And with a guy like Malik Willis falling this far, why the hell not take a swing? So, yeah, I'm probably harsh on the B minus, but yeah, I'm glad we talked it out. All right, 87 Arizona Cardinals defensive end Cameron Thomas.
A, great value, fits a key need.
Cool. I went B plus. I like the pick. I just yeah, I don't know. I like the pick. 88 Dallas Cowboys wide receiver Jalen Tolbert.
They needed a number 3 to replace Amari Cooper, and I think he can fit that number 3 role in that
Gotcha.
offense.
I gave him a B, but that's all right. 89 Buffalo Bills outside linebacker Terrell Bernard.
C, this is special teamer.
Yeah, man, everything I read about this guy was like a way later grade. I was surprised. I went C here, but I could have went lower. 90 Vegas. We got offensive guard Dylan Parham.
A, he's going to start week 1 at guard or center and get that power on the offensive line.
Yeah, I went A minus. I like that pick. 91 Tampa Bay Buccaneers Rashad White running back.
C plus is it gives it's a depth pick and unnecessary.
Yeah, I went C minus. I mean, I had this guy way, way farther down on my board, and so I didn't like it at all. But that's all right. 92 Green Bay Packers offensive guard Sean Ryan.
Uh, is a B plus. B plus. Start at right guard. He's powerful, but only a B plus.
Yeah, I liked it. I gave B plus as well. 90. You can never have too much depth on the offensive line, so and this is good time to get guards. 93 San Francisco 49ers running back Tyrion Davis Pierce.
D minus. Why?
Yeah, I went C minus. Same kind of thought. Carolina Panthers quarterback Matt Corral.
B plus and only a B plus because of the fact that I figured out why he dropped so far and it concerns me.
Well, why don't you tell me what was that?
Apparently at the combine he was having problems finishing interviews with teams, and there's something out there about him having a drinking problem.
Oh shit. All right, so I went A minus. I thought it was kind of like, hey, at this point, you might as well roll the dice, similar to what the Falcons did. But yeah, we're gonna have to look into that a little bit more because that's not good. All right, 95 Cincinnati Bengals defensive end Zachary Carter.
B.
I went A minus. I actually had this guy pretty high on my board at this point. I thought that was a good pick. 96 Indianapolis Colts safety Nick Cross.
B plus.
Okay, I went A minus. I liked it there. And I was surprised he fell this far, to be honest. 97 Detroit Lions safety Kirby Joseph.
C.
I went B plus. Let's talk about this one for a minute because it's the Lions. You just think it's too much of a reach or what?
So they need some safety and nickel depth, but he doesn't offer much versus the run, and he's a playmaker in coverage, and that's not what we need. We just need we don't need the playmaker
All right.
ability he has, and he's so developmental. I just I
I
would like
gotcha.
to see
I
them go
gotcha.
elsewhere.
Yeah, I like he's another one of these like strong work ethic, high motor kind of guys, and just everything I read is that he's got all the tools to develop into a solid starter. And so I don't know. I guess I liked everything I read on him, but yeah, he does need some development. So I got you. All right, 98 Washington Commanders running back Brian Robinson.
B minus. It's a head scratcher.
I went B minus and could have went worse. 99 Cleveland Browns wide receiver David Bell.
I I give this an A.
Nice. I gave it a B plus, and I honestly I thought it could be even better than that because yeah, that was one of their top needs at this point. And they need somebody other than Amari Cooper. They got some guys, but I did like that pick. 100 Arizona Cardinals defensive end Myjai Sanders.
That's an A as well.
Yeah, I went A minus here. I thought he could maybe even better than the other guy they drafted. But 101, I got the Jets tight end Jeremy Ruckert.
D.
Yeah, I went
He's
C minus, man.
he's
This
not a
was like
receiving tight end. He's a blocking tight end. They signed
they
Uzama and Tyler Conklin.
I went C minus because I thought, what the hell? They doubled down on tight ends in free agency. Why would they get this guy? But I didn't want to kill him too bad, so C minus. All right, Miami Dolphins at 102, inside linebacker Channing Tindall.
I'll give that an A. I mean, he feels huge need for the Dolphins, and it's great value.
Yeah, I went B plus. I thought there were better inside linebackers, but I thought it was still a solid pick. 103 Kansas City Chiefs inside linebacker Leo Chenal.
A plus, great value. I had him much higher than this, and he's fits in.
Yeah, I went A there. I think he's a steal at this point in the draft. 104 Los Angeles Rams offensive guard Logan Bruss.
I'll give this fits a need. It's the Rams' first pick. I will give it a B plus. I don't like the player necessarily, but it fits a need.
Yeah, I went B plus as well, and I think it's like a to be determined, but everything made sense. It fit a need. It seemed like an appropriate spot to get the guy, and now it's just got to play out the right way. But 105 San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Danny Gray.
I give this a C because my note is who?
Yeah, I went B minus, but it was to me it was geez, they had a lot of other directions that they could have went, and so I don't know. It was this a Debo Samuel prompted pick or what? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know who this guy was. I did not do much of a dive into this guy, and but like I said, who?
Yeah, hey, fair enough, fair enough. All right, cool. Well, all right, we burned through the first three rounds. James, I know you were saying you had yours organized by team. And so, is there anything that you want to cover on that before I move us over to our question of the week?
No, because I had my teams actually had my teams ranked in their draft. That's how I did it. Is where I had number 1 to number 32.
Oh, perfect. All right. Well, then I guess let's just get to question of the week then. And so, James, it's a two-part question. I want to know who you think won the draft, what team, and then, conversely, what team do you think lost the draft? And so, we're probably going to agree on who won it, but maybe not. But I'll just go out there and I'll just start it off that I think the Jets fucking hit the home run, man. They got a lot of needs, but I mean, I'm just blown away at how good they did in this draft. And I don't think that means they're going to all of a sudden be a playoff team because they got a shit ton of ways to go still. And all these picks need to actually make it work on the field. But I was truly impressed with what the Jets did. I would give the honorable mention to the Ravens because they just slow and steady always hit the home runs in the draft. But the Jets, I thought, got more out of it. They had more quantity, and they had. I thought they just did better. So I went the Jets to win it. I thought you could have gone a lot of different ways to, who lost it. But I ended up taking the New England Patriots on who lost it just because some of their picks, you know, it, you got the Cole Strange pick in the first round, which I thought was a big head scratcher. And then you had that wide receiver later on, which was another one that I just didn't get. I just, it's like I like to give a ton of credit to Belichick, but I just felt like holy cow, the guys he picked, he could have gotten them all so much later, and he could have gotten other guys earlier with much more value, and then still gotten the guys that he wanted. I just thought he played the whole thing wrong, man. I don't know. So weird to call out Belichick like that, at least for me, because I'm always a huge advocate for him. But Jets to win it, Pats to lose it, man. What'd you think?
So, if you were just going on round 1, we would be on the same page. I actually had the Jets at number 2. I had Baltimore at number 1.
Okay.
I mean, come on, like they got like every pick, everybody. Like DaCosta said, he thought there was no way in hell Kyle Hamilton would be available at number 14.
Yeah.
He didn't think Linderbaum would be available that late in the round. Ojabu getting him in the second round. I mean, all these
Yeah.
picks. It's just like once again the fucking Baltimore Ravens fucking win the draft.
Yeah, it did seem like it all felt right into their lap.
And then losing the draft, I actually had a I think it did. Yeah, I had. Let me see I'm trying to find the overall grade I put on New England.
Sure.
I had New England as number 31.
Okay. Well, that's good. We had some different picks. I like that.
I had the Chicago Bears as 32.
Yeah, they did have a pretty shitty draft too.
I'm sorry. I had I had Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers at 32.
I mean, I guess
31.
I
And
did
then
like a couple of the Bears picked. I liked the Brisker pick and I liked the Kyler Gordon pick, but I felt like their strategy was messed up. But yeah, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
I
Sorry.
thought I so so for the Bears, well, I'll do since I had them tied. I'll just do the Green Bay Packers. I've said it multiple times, and I will say it again. The Green Bay Packers needed to be the Detroit Lions and trade up
Yeah,
for a wide receiver.
yeah.
Um, yeah, Gordon and Brisker might have been value picks. They did nothing to help Justin Fields.
No, they just hung him out there to dry, man.
The first attempt was Velus Jones, who has speed, but that's about it. He he'll be 25 before the season and still has to develop. Um, Even the best case scenario for the Bears, the draft was only an upgrade in the secondary, and that's the only place they upgraded the team.
Yeah.
I thought, I thought that the Packers, because they didn't come out of the draft with a wide receiver, failed Aaron Rodgers, and I thought that I had a problem putting Belichick last. I just
Okay.
like he's an evil genius.
Yeah, you just know that some of these guys are going to hit and we're going to be like, God damn it, he did it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, that was it, man. It was a lot for tonight, but we got through it. It was a heck of a lot of fun, and we still got a lot more off season to go where we're going to be playing around, sort of speculating. Okay, now that all these moves have been made, what do we think that that's going to do for power rankings and predictions and all sorts of fun stuff? But we're just, we're one step closer to getting back into some football action, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so for anybody who's watching, we hope you like the show. Please hit us up for Name That Stadium. And also feel free to answer our question of the week, which is a two-part question of the week this week. If you haven't already, give us that thumbs up, hit the like button, whatever platform you're on. And please, please, please hit the subscribe button. It helps us out big time. James, like always, man, it was fun. I will hit you up this weekend. We'll make sure we're on the same page for next week's show, which we'll be doing a little bit early. We're going to hit it up next Wednesday. So I hope you have a good night, man, and I will catch you later.
All right, sounds good. Have a good one.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut hut hike.